Shackled in silence, the prison was cold. Not just cold like winter, but cold like something had died there and no one ever cared to clean it. Dim blue lights flickered from the walls, and the smell of metal and rot filled the air. In the center of cell block 9, a human sat with chains around his wrists and ankles. He didn't move. He didn't speak. His name was Daniel. Aliens from all ranks came to see him. Most had never seen a human before, especially not one captured alive. They laughed. They mocked. Some even threw food at him. Daniel didn't flinch. His eyes stared straight ahead like he was waiting for something. Or someone. One alien came more often than the others. Her name was Commander Varel. Tall and graceful, she wore silver armor with long spikes on her shoulders. Her skin shimmered like dark glass and her eyes glowed with soft violet light. She had no reason to fear this man, yet every time she walked into his cell, her heart beat faster. "So," she said, standing before him, "you're the great human soldier they talk about?" Daniel didn't answer. She leaned in closer. "You look weak, smaller than I expected. Is this what humans are made of?" His eyes shifted. Just a little. Just enough to show her that he was listening. She hated that. "Say something." She snapped. "Why?" Daniel finally spoke. His voice was quiet, calm, and steady. "You've already made up your mind." Varel stepped back, frowning. "You're lucky we didn't execute you." "No," he said, smiling faintly. "You're lucky you didn't." The room went silent. Behind Varel, the two guards shifted uncomfortably. There was something in his tone, something dangerous. But he was in chains. Bruised, bleeding. Powerless, wasn't he? The door hissed open and Varel turned to leave. Before stepping out, she looked over her shoulder and said, "Enjoy your silence, human. It's the last gift you'll get." When she left, Daniel closed his eyes. He wasn't afraid. Hours passed. Maybe days. There was no way to tell time in the cell. Every few hours, a new alien would come to taunt him. They tried to get answers. Military codes, base locations, even secret tech information. Daniel said nothing. Instead, he studied them. Every guard, every camera, every routine. His mind stayed sharp. He counted steps, remembered faces, memorized the hum of the ship's systems. He was waiting. Commander Varel returned again. This time she didn't speak right away, she just watched him. "Why don't you beg?" she finally asked. "Most prisoners cry, plead, scream. But you just sit there." Daniel looked up. "Begging won't save me." And it wouldn't stop. "What's coming?" Varel crossed her arms. "What is coming?" "You'll see," he said. She rolled her eyes. "I've seen human tricks. You send little ships, fire little guns. Nothing more." "It's not the weapons that matter," Daniel said. "It's the will," Varel laughed. "Then your people will die with strong wills, brave but foolish." Daniel didn't laugh with her. He only whispered, "You don't understand yet, but you will." Outside the prison, on the edge of the galaxy, a shadow moved silently through the stars. It had no lights, no engine sounds, no trace on scanners. It was a stealth ship, and it was human. Back in the cell, Daniel opened his eyes again. He felt it, just barely. A shift in the air, a tiny vibration in the walls. They were close. He smiled to himself. Later that day, as Varel stood in the control room of the prison, one of the engineers ran in. "Commander," he shouted. "We've picked up something. Strange. It's not on sensors. It's just here." She frowned. "What do you mean?" "Something just entered orbit," he said, shaking. "But the system didn't detect it until now." Varel turned toward the prison monitor. Daniel was still sitting, still chained. But he was smiling. For the first time, she felt cold. "Alert. The fleet," she ordered. "It's not firing," the engineer whispered. "It's just watching us." Inside his cell, Daniel looked up at the ceiling. "Right on time," he murmured. His chains didn't move. but his heart beat with the rhythm of victory. The chains began to rattle. Alarms screamed through the corridors of the alien warship Carrelis. Red lights flashed. Footsteps echoed in every direction. The quiet cold of deep space had shattered into chaos. Commander Varel rushed to the control deck, her armor half-fastened. She had been sleeping when the first alert came. That had never happened before. "Report," she barked as she stepped onto the bridge. Her second officer, a thin-skinned tactician named Juro, stood stiffly. "Commander, an unidentified object entered our orbit 3 minutes ago. No ID signature, no heat trail, no weapons fire, and it's not answering hails." Varel narrowed her eyes. "Where is it now?" Juro pointed to the central hologram. Above the spinning model of their ship, a small black dot hovered. It pulsed softly like a heart beating in the dark. "There," he said, his voice cracking. "It's just sitting there," someone whispered. Varel clenched her jaw. "Then wake it up." "We tried," Juro said, swallowing. "We aimed a long-range scan beam at it, and our scanners shut down, not jammed. They just turned off." Below, in the prison wing, Daniel sat silently in his cell. The same as always, same posture, same stare. But there was something different now. The lights flickered more, the walls hummed, and deep within, the ship's bones, something pulsed. He looked up and smiled. A guard noticed it. "Hey," the alien guard snapped. "What's so funny, human?" Daniel didn't answer. The guard walked closer. "Think this is funny? What's out there, is that your ship?" Daniel whispered. "Not mine." The guard froze. "Then whose is it?" Daniel looked him dead in the eyes. "You'll find out when it's too late." On the bridge, the tension thickened. "Commander," another voice said, "life support systems are acting strange." "How?" "Oxygen levels are dropping in random sectors. Doors are opening and closing without commands." "Engineering?" Varel asked. Not responding. The ship rumbled. Softly. No blast, no impact. Just a sound, like pressure changing across space. Varel turned to her weapons officer. "Target that object. Prepare to fire." I can't," the officer stammered. "Why not?" "The guns are offline." "What do you mean offline?" "They're there, but they won't obey. It's like something's rewritten the command chain." Below deck, the lights in Daniel's cell flickered, then surged. One of the cameras above the door sparked and died. Varel's voice rang from the intercom. "Prisoner 114, human speak." Daniel didn't look at the speaker. "What is that ship?" Still no answer. Varel tried again. "Why is it here?" He finally spoke. "You've mocked what you don't understand. Now it's here to remind you." "Is that a threat?" she asked. "No," Daniel said softly. "It's a choice." Varel ordered a team to check the prison manually. 3 soldiers in black armor made their way down the lower deck, rifles raised. The door to cell, Block 9, opened with a grinding groan. Smoke curled around their feet. "This is wrong," one muttered. "It's too quiet." As they reached Daniel's cell, he was already standing, but the chains were still on. "Sit down," barked the lead soldier. Daniel just watched him. "They told you stories about humans. Half of them were lies. The other half were warnings." "Shut up." The lights exploded above them. Sparks rained down. The door behind them slammed shut and locked itself. The guard turned, cursed, and tried his comms. "Command, this is Cell Wing. Do you copy? Do you—" Silence. Daniel stepped forward. The chains rattled, but didn't hold him back. Somehow, impossibly, they stretched. "You should leave," he said. "You're not going anywhere," the alien growled. Daniel stared at him. "You really believe that?" A second later, the chain snapped. Like paper. Metal clanged to the floor. The 3 soldiers stared, wide-eyed. "What? What are you?" one whispered. Daniel took a deep breath. "I'm a message. On the bridge, Varel watched the cell feed go black. "I want full lockdown," she screamed. "Seal every corridor, get security bots online." "They're not responding," an officer cried. "Then cut the power." "That's the thing, Commander, and we already did." The ship rumbled again. Louder now, outside the ship. The black object finally moved. It wasn't a ship. It was a pod. It unfolded slowly, its surface glowing with blue cracks. Dozens of long, silent drones spilled from its sides and swarmed toward the car rallies like shadows with purpose. They didn't fire. They just attached themselves to the hull, and the lights across the entire vessel went dark. Deep in the prison wing, Daniel walked slowly down the hall. All the cells had opened. Aliens, prisoners, guards ran in fear. Some tried to stop him. They didn't last. He didn't kill them. He just touched them. And their weapons died. Their limbs froze. Their systems shut down. He passed the bodies without a word until he reached the final hallway. Varel stood there, alone, face to face with the man she had mocked. "Stop," she said, trying to sound strong. "You remember what you said?" Daniel asked. "I was doing my duty. So am I. What do you want?" "Nothing." "Then why are you here?" "Because you asked." Varel frowned. "I never. You wanted to see what a human is. Now you will." She backed away. "You can still stop this," she whispered. "I already did," Daniel said. Behind him, the ship powered down completely. Every gun, every engine, every screen. The Cararellis drifted silently in space. Dead, but intact. Locked doors and dangerous truths. The alien warship Cararellis floated in total darkness. No lights. No sound. No engines. No weapons. It was as if the ship had fallen asleep, with its eyes open. Inside the dead vessel, panic spread like a virus. Corridors were filled with shouts, running feet, and the sharp smell of fear. Soldiers yelled for orders, engineers banged on dead panels, and medical officers tried to calm the injured. But nothing worked. No power. No control, only silence. And him. Daniel, the human they had once laughed at, was now walking freely through the very ship that once held him in chains. Commander Varel sat alone in the emergency command pod. Her armor was scorched at the edges. Her gloves were shaking slightly, though she tried to hide it. She stared at the hologram console. It flickered on and off, showing static-filled footage of different ship areas. In one feed, Daniel walked through the engineering bay. The security drones stood still. Some were even kneeling. Machines were kneeling. "How?" she whispered. Her second officer, Juro, was gone. Last seen trying to reboot the weapons room. No one had heard from him in over an hour. She tapped her comms again. "This is Commander Varel to all surviving officers. Report your status. I repeat, report your status." Nothing. Except static, and a low, soft beep. Somewhere near the central AI core, Daniel stopped walking. Before him stood a large silver door, locked with 6 alien-level biometric codes and a voice password. He placed his hand on the panel. It opened instantly. He stepped inside. The AI core was a tall cylinder of spinning energy and memory crystals. It buzzed, flickered, and struggled to keep itself awake. "You remember me?" Daniel asked it softly. The core pulsed weakly. "I helped build your early design," he said. "Long ago, before you were stolen." The crystals glowed blue. He walked up to the base of the core and pulled out a small metal cube from his pocket, something he had hidden even during his captivity. With one touch, it connected to the AI. The entire system shuddered. And then, the lights turned back on, but not in the usual way. This time everything turned white, clean, silent, and the ship, this massive alien vessel, now obeyed one voice. Daniel's. Back in the emergency pod, Varel gasped. Her screen lit up with a message. "Hello, Commander, we need to talk." It wasn't her AI, it wasn't her system, it was him. She pressed her comm button. "Daniel," she said, trying to sound calm. "You're inside the core, aren't you?" Yes, came the reply. You knew how to access our systems? You mean your systems? Daniel's voice was quiet. No. This ship was built using stolen human technology. Varel's eyes widened. That's not true. It is, he said. The quantum links, the zero bounce engine, the neuroadaptive interface, all of it. We've improved them. You repainted them, Daniel said coldly. You don't even understand half of what powers your own ship. You're sitting on a weapon you can't control. Varel sat back, her mouth dry. Why now? She asked. Why reveal this now? Daniel replied, because you needed a lesson. And now? You're ready to listen. Daniel's voice echoed through every speaker on the ship, even those without power. To the crew of the Carrelis, he said, you are not prisoners, you are not hostages, but you are children playing with fire. Across the vessel, aliens froze where they stood. Injured soldiers looked at each other. Engineers stopped trying to restart systems. They just listened. Daniel continued. This ship has committed many crimes, blockades, raids, experiments on prisoners. Some crew members turned pale. But I'm not here for revenge, Daniel said. I'm here for truth, Varel whispered. What truth? The ship's lights pulsed. Daniel appeared as a hologram before her. He looked calm, peaceful. But behind his eyes, something ancient stirred. You asked what we are, Daniel said. You called humans weak, emotional, chaotic. Yes, Varel said carefully. That's all true, Daniel said with a smile. But we're also something else. He stepped closer, through the hologram, until his face was inches from hers. We remember. Suddenly, Varel's screen showed footage she had never seen before. It was an alien lab, her own species, and inside it, human children, strapped to machines. Crying, whispering for help. She gasped. This isn't possible, she said. It was hidden, Daniel replied, deep in your archives. Locked behind your Emperor's codes. You never saw it. But now you will. How did you? I was one of them. Varel froze. I escaped, he said. Grew up, joined the resistance, and waited. You let us capture you, she whispered. Yes. The ship's core now played back every hidden file, every dark truth. The crew watched in horror as their secrets were revealed. Some cried, some collapsed, some simply stared in silence, realizing what they had been part of. Daniel ended the transmission with a final warning. Earth does not seek war. But we do not forget, and if we are mocked, chained, or hurt again, we will return. Not to conquer, but to teach. Varel looked up at the screen. Daniel was gone. The cell where he had once sat was now empty, but his words echoed across the ship like a storm. Powerless. Commander Varel stood frozen. Daniel's words echoed in her ears. I was one of them. The truth hit her harder than any weapon. The human she had mocked, tortured, held in chains, had once been just a child in an alien lab on her side of the war. She had never seen those files before. Never even heard whispers of what her own empire had done. Now the truth played out across every screen on the ship, and the entire crew was watching. On the bridge, silence reigned. No one dared to speak. Many officers simply stared at their monitors, which now showed the old experiments. Young humans used for testing neural pain, forced to run through mazes, punished for crying. Studied like animals, a communications officer quietly took off her rank pin and set it down. I didn't know, she whispered. No one answered. Deep in the core chamber, Daniel stood quietly. He watched the reactions. Not with joy. Not with revenge. Just silence. He wasn't smiling. He wasn't angry. He looked tired. Commander Varel finally moved. Her legs were weak. She leaned on the console for balance. Everything she believed in, everything she trained for, everything she stood for, it all suddenly felt like a lie. She had served proudly. She had worn her armor with honor. But now, She wore shame. She opened. The shipwide comm. "This is Commander Varel," she said slowly. "I have seen the evidence, and I do not ask you to excuse what we've done. I only ask that you listen." She paused. To Daniel. Daniel stepped forward into the hologram again, now standing in the command room with her. The image shimmered, but his voice was solid. "You asked why I helped you," he said. Varel nodded. "You could have let us all die. When the systems crashed, when the power failed, you had control." "Yes," he replied. "I did." "Why didn't you?" Daniel looked down at his hands. "Because I remember a voice," he said. "A little alien nurse. When I was a child in that lab, she gave me water when no one else would. One night, she cried while cleaning my wounds. I never saw her again. I don't know her name, but because of her, I never learned to hate." Varel's throat tightened, her hands clenched. "You could have destroyed us," she said again. "But you chose not to. Humans are not gods," Daniel said. "But we learn, we adapt, we endure. You broke me, but you didn't kill me." Just then, the lights above flickered. Systems across the car relleys hummed back to life. Slowly, gently, not with force, but like someone breathing life into a fallen body. Doors opened, weapons remained off, engines came online, but didn't move. It was as if the ship had chosen peace. But peace came with a price. In the lower decks, the emergency fuel chamber cracked open. Too long without power had weakened the seals. One spark would be enough to set off a chain reaction. Daniel saw it through the ship's sensors. He turned to Varel. "You have a breach," he said. "Where?" "Sector 34E. If it spreads, the entire ship will go." Varel's heart dropped. "Can you stop it?" "No. You have to. The damage was too deep. The heat was rising. The auto-vent controls were still offline in that section. Someone had to go in manually, and the only person nearby was Commander Varel." She didn't hesitate. She grabbed her suit and ran. Smoke poured from the hallway like poison. Red lights flashed as fire suppression systems failed. The air was thick, burning hot. Her helmet sealed just in time. She crawled through the tight passage, ignoring the pain. Metal was melting around her. Daniel's voice guided her. Left. Now through the panel. 10 seconds. "I see it," she coughed. "I'm almost—" An explosion rocked the floor behind her. The fire roared. Daniel called, "You need to vent the chamber now." She reached the lever. Her gloves were slick. Her fingers were trembling. "Pull it," she told herself. But the heat. Too much. Then she heard his voice. Calm. Steady. "I believe in you." She pulled the lever. A deep hiss roared through the vents. Then, silence. The fires died. The pressure dropped. The ship lived. Hours passed. The car relleys floated silently again. But this time, it was no longer a war machine. It was a survivor. And so was Varel. She lay in the medical bay, her armor burned, her body bruised, but alive. Daniel stood beside her bed, not as a prisoner, not as a soldier, but as a human. She looked at him, tears in her eyes. "Why did you save me?" she whispered. "Because, now, you'll remember." The request, the lights in the medical bay were dim, soft and quiet. Commander Varel lay on the treatment bed wrapped in healing fabric. The burn marks on her neck had faded, but the ones inside her, those remained untouched. For the first time in her life, she felt something she had never known before. Shame, and something more dangerous. Doubt. Her hand trembled as she reached for a cup of water. Daniel was sitting beside her, silent, watching. "You stayed," she whispered. He nodded. "Yes." "You should have left," she said. "After everything. You should have walked away." "I don't leave people behind," Daniel said. His voice was calm, not angry, not proud, just honest. "Not even enemies? Especially not them." Varel closed her eyes. "You're not like us," she said. "No, Daniel replied. But I wanted to be. Across the ship, quiet repairs had begun, systems were rebooting, broken circuits were replaced. The crew, once proud and confident, now moved like shadows. Many couldn't look each other in the eye. The truth had shattered something, not just about the human in chains, but about themselves. On the bridge, officers gathered in silence. The usual barked orders and stiff salutes were gone. Now, they simply stood in a circle facing a decision no one wanted to make. The Emperor will demand we hand Daniel over, one said. We can't, said another. He saved us. He hacked our systems. He saved the commander. He exposed war crimes, our own. They fell silent again. Finally, the communications officer said what everyone feared. We have to make a choice. Loyalty to the Empire or to the truth. In the lower hangar, Daniel stood beside a launch pod. It was ready, doors open, engine humming. He could leave. Earth was already waiting. His people had tracked the signal. If he stepped inside, he'd be gone, in minutes, safe, free. But he didn't move. He was waiting. For her. Virel entered the hangar slowly, walking with a limp. Daniel turned. He didn't speak first. She did. You're leaving? I gave you what you needed, he said. She nodded. And now you're giving us a choice. Daniel stepped forward. You saw everything. What your leaders did, what your empire became. Yes. So, what now? Virel looked around. The crew. They're divided. Some still want to follow the Empire. Others are broken. They want to surrender. Defect. Hide. Daniel didn't react. And you? She looked up, straight into his eyes. I want to change everything. He didn't smile, but something in his posture relaxed. Then ask. Daniel said softly. She frowned. Ask? Ask for help. Virel's pride flared for just a second, but then she remembered the screams of the children in those old videos, the shame of her uniform, and the fact that the man before her had every reason to hate her, but didn't. She stepped forward, slowly, and dropped to one knee. Daniel, she said quietly, we mocked you, tortured you, used you, but now, I beg you. She looked up, her voice breaking. Please help us. Help me. Silence. Then Daniel knelt too. Stand up, he said gently. This isn't about begging. It's about choosing. Then I choose peace, she whispered. Suddenly a siren screamed. The crew rushed to stations. A ship had entered the outer orbit, huge, black, and pulsing with red lights. It was a dreadnought, Imperial class, and it was not here to talk. On the HFY bridge, the crew stared in horror. It's the Vacturos, one officer said. Flagship of High Lord Thran. The name sent chills through the room. Thran, a butcher, a purifier, a loyal hound of the Empire, and he never left survivors. Message flashed onto the screen. Commander Virel, you have 10 minutes to surrender the human, or you and your ship will be destroyed. Virel turned to Daniel. They'll kill us all. Then don't surrender, he said. We can't win. We don't have weapons. Daniel's eyes narrowed. Yes, you do? He raised his hand and pressed 2 fingers to his temple. The lights flickered. Every console lit up. A symbol appeared. One the crew had never seen before. Not alien, not Imperial. It was human. What is that? Virel asked. A gift, Daniel said. From those who remember. Outside, the car rallies pulsed with new energy, not violent, not loud, but focused, controlled, as if the ship had decided to live. On its own terms, Thran's voice boomed through the comms. This is your final warning. Virel stepped forward, not with fear, but with purpose. This is Commander Virel of the Car Relis. We no longer follow you. We no longer follow the Empire. There was silence, then fury. You will be erased. Thran's ship charged its weapons. Virel looked at Daniel. Now? Daniel nodded. The Carrelis didn't fire first. But when the Imperial dreadnought fired, its shots never reached them. A shield, invisible, silent, absorbed everything. Then responded, a single beam of light blue and calm reached out and touched the enemy ship and shut it down, not destroyed. Just disabled, like Daniel had done with his chains. On the screen, Thran appeared, his face red, his fists shaking. What have you done? Daniel stepped into the view. Remember us. The screen went black. The crew erupted. Not in cheers, but in awe. They had just survived the Empire's wrath, and all because one human chose mercy over revenge. Varel turned to him again. What happens now? Daniel replied, now, we tell the galaxy what happened here. And if they don't listen, he smiled, then we show them. Humanity's message. The message went out, not from the Empire, not from a warlord, not from a government, but from a ship that had once been feared and was now free. The Carrelis sent its new broadcast into every channel, every frequency, every corner of the galaxy. It played on homeworlds, moon bases, civilian crafts, and military fleets. And it started with a single image. A human in chains. Then the chains falling. Then a voice. We once thought we were alone, Daniel said. Then we met you. You feared us. You mocked us. You studied us. A flash showed footage of the alien labs. Children crying, soldiers restrained, torture masked as science. You tried to break us. His voice continued. And when that failed, you tried to forget us. Images changed. Daniel walking through the ship, Varel kneeling, the Empire dreadnought powering down. But humans do not forget. He stepped into view, looking straight at the camera. We don't want to rule. We don't want to destroy. But if we are chained again, if we are hunted again, we will not remain silent. A final message appeared across the screen. Earth remembers. Choose peace or meet truth. The galaxy watched in silence. Then it began to shake. In the central halls of the Galactic Council, debate turned to chaos. Representatives from over 70 species shouted, argued, or stared blankly at the screen replaying Daniel's speech. For centuries, the Empire had ruled with fear. But in just one message, one human had broken that illusion. We must respond, growled High Speaker Zur. This is rebellion. No, whispered a reptilian delegate. This is justice. The room fell into arguments again, but something had shifted. Somewhere deep inside that chamber, fear had changed sides. On the hidden world of Kalor 4, a secret human listening post watched the broadcast replay with awe. Commander Maya Jin, Daniel's old friend, stood still. Her hand was shaking slightly as she touched the screen. He did it, she whispered. Beside her, a young recruit asked, should we contact him? Maya shook her head. Not yet. He's building something bigger than a rescue. On board the Carrelis, the crew moved like ghosts. Not afraid, just transformed. No more orders barked, no more drills. They worked with a strange energy now, as if they knew they were part of something greater. Many of them had removed their imperial pins. Others simply sat alone, staring at the stars through the glass. They weren't sure what they were anymore, but they knew what they weren't. They weren't servants of the Empire. In the captain's quarters, Varel stood at a table, watching a map of the galaxy. Red lights showed Imperial outposts. Yellow lights showed ships like theirs watching, listening, unsure. You broke something, she said. Daniel stood beside her. No, I showed them it was already broken. She looked at him. What happens now? He walked to the map and touched one of the yellow lights. Now we give others the courage to choose. Suddenly the door burst open. A soldier ran in, breathing hard. Commander! Daniel, there's a ship approaching fast. Varel frowned. Empire? No, something else. They rushed to the viewing deck. Outside, a strange vessel approached, not Imperial, not human. It shimmered like liquid metal and moved like a living thing. Daniel's eyes narrowed. I know that ship, he said quietly. Varel turned. What is it? A reminder. The alien ship docked without permission, no alarms, no shields. And then, the doors opened. Out stepped a tall figure. His skin was smooth, silver, and ever-shifting. He had no face, only a mask of light where eyes should be. He spoke in a calm voice that echoed through the walls. Daniel, child of Earth. It has been a long time. Daniel stepped forward, calm but alert. You should have stayed gone, he said. Varel looked between them. Who is he? Daniel didn't blink. The architect. The one who sold your empire the technology they used to build this ship. You mean, yes, Daniel said. This is the one who gave them the tools to torture my people. The architect tilted his head. You've sent your message, he said. Now I've come to send mine. You're not welcome here, Daniel said. But you invited me, the architect replied. The moment you stepped into power. Now you've opened a door you can't close. Try me. The ship shook slightly. Varel grabbed the rail. Daniel didn't move. You gave monsters the tools to hurt others, he said. Now you want to scare me? No, the architect said. I want to offer you a choice. I don't take deals from ghosts. Then prepare to be erased. The architect turned and walked back to his ship, and as it undocked, hundreds of blinking signals appeared across the map. Ships just like his. Quiet, watching, waiting. Varel looked at Daniel. What was that? A warning. From who? From the ones behind the empire. The true power. Why now? Daniel looked at the map. Then he turned to her. Because now they're afraid. The begging commander. The galaxy stood still. Not physically, but emotionally. For the first time in generations, the power structure everyone believed in, the empire, the council, the trade lords, was cracking. And in the silence of that collapse, the galaxy listened to a human. On board the car Relis, Daniel stood in front of the massive galaxy-wide comm system. The bridge was quiet. Officers watched, waiting. Some nervous, some hopeful. Next to him stood Commander Varel, no longer wearing Imperial armor. She now wore plain black gear with no symbols, no rank, just truth. Daniel turned to her. Are you sure you're ready? Varel nodded, voice steady. I mocked you in chains. And now, I stand here because you gave me the chance no one else would have. Then speak, Daniel said. Varel stepped forward. The camera light turned green. Across the galaxy, on planets, in warships, inside refugee camps, and even on the Empire's deepest military outposts, her face appeared. This was the same commander who once tortured humans. Now she looked like a different being, tired, honest, alive. I was once loyal to a system built on fear, she said, her voice steady. I believed strength meant obedience, that peace meant control. I was wrong. She paused, and the whole galaxy listened. We captured a human, we mocked him, chained him, silenced him, but in the end he saved us. Not because we deserved it, but because he remembered something we forgot. Mercy. On a desert moon, a child watched with wide eyes. In a merchant ship, old veterans turned away from the screen, ashamed. In the Empire's throne room, the Emperor crushed a glass in his hand. Varel continued, We beg for a second chance, not to escape punishment, but to build something new. We ask humanity, not for forgiveness, but for guidance. Because now we know, those who chain others will one day be the ones begging for freedom. The screen went black. The message was sent. Daniel walked to the center of the bridge. He touched the star map again. The red dots, enemy fleets, Imperial warposts, hidden labs, flickered. But then, something unexpected happened. They started turning white. Not because of an attack, but because they surrendered. One by one, the systems reported in. We renounce the Empire. We accept the message. We choose peace. Not all surrendered. Some fired back, some refused. But something far stronger than war was moving now. Truth, and it was spreading faster than bullets. Suddenly, the ship's alarms lit up again. A massive fleet approached. Not the Empire, not the Architect, but a union of many. Small vessels, scavenger ships, pirate crafts, refugee transports, even old colony pods. They had no flag, just one symbol, the same one Daniel had shown before, the mark of Earth. The largest ship hailed them. Commander Maya Jin appeared on the screen. "Long time, Daniel." He smiled faintly. "I knew you'd come. Couldn't let you start a revolution without us." She grinned. "Ready to bring it home?" Daniel looked around the bridge, at the aliens who once feared him, the officers who once laughed at him, now standing with him. "We're not here to conquer," he said. "We're here to heal." "What if they don't want healing?" Varel asked softly. "Then we show them what humans do," Daniel said. He stepped forward, eyes steady, voice calm. "We survive, we forgive, we remember, and when the time comes, we lead." The galaxy didn't change in a day, but it changed that moment, because a human who once sat in chains now sat at the center of a bridge that carried not just a ship, but hope. Final scene. The Emperor sat alone in his dark throne room. One advisor rushed in. "Your Highness, the last of the outer colonies have defected. Our fleets are returning empty." The Emperor didn't speak. He just stared at the blank screen in front of him, the one that had just replayed Daniel's message for the 100th time. A message that didn't come with a threat, but with something far more dangerous. A choice. Months later, a new coalition was born. Not ruled by humans, not ruled by aliens, but led by those who had once been enemies. Its name? The Remembrance Pact, and the first law they wrote: "No one shall ever wear chains again,